I did. Through the back. I raised the pickups up, I think. Anyway, we're going to plug this in right when I get back. And it works. Play it now, check out the playability, and we'll plug it in. It turned out great, though. Okay, go ahead, Jim. We did some rewiring on this bass because he brought it in and it wasn't working properly.
It was all screwed up.
So we've it's a little bit of customizing, but we didn't put it back like stock, but we made it very simple. So anyway.
Probably never saw one of these, right?
No, I saw that in here yesterday, and I was like, what is the story with that thing?
So Rickenbacker, they only made these for a few years in the 80s. I don't normally like Rickenbacker basses, the normal 4001, 4003, whatever. I don't like them at all, because they're just, to me, they're stupid looking. But then again, you know, like that different taste. I just don't like the way it looks. I mean, they play nice, they sound good, but this was an anomaly. They introduced this as more or less a lower cost model. Flopped. It was a sales flop. Nobody wanted to buy it because their marketing was all wrong. Shouldn't have positioned it as a lower cost model. And to be honest, the quality of this is just as good as, you know, anything else out there. It's a very well made bass. You know, there's nothing, you know, low end or entry level about this thing at all. Well, there is one with binding, and it's the it's a 2030 is the model. The 2030, what's the guy's name? Some guy that was in the Eagles or whatever. Glenn Fry. This is my second one, actually. I had one in that dark blue color. You know, these are really hard to find. Really rare bass. They made them only for a few years in the 80s. You might spend 3 years trying to find one, you know, before one pops up. So the first one I ever found was my friend Ben Levin at Real Guitars in San Francisco. You know, he had the word, you know, you find one of these, you call me, you know. The blue one popped up, beat to hell, and I didn't really like the color, but you know, I had to have it, you know. I had that for several years, and then this one popped up, and I've had it for a pretty long time now.
How would you characterize the sound of this?
Because it's got 2 truss rods in it, and my finding has been that that's largely responsible for the Rickenbacker sound, is having the 2 truss rods in there, because it makes the neck a lot more rigid, and that has a big effect on the sound. This has a taste of that Rickenbacker sound. It has different pickups, so it also has its own sound.
How would you characterize this bass?
Pretty unique sounding. It's, you know, I can't even really begin to describe it. It's really tough. It's very unique sounding. It has a bit of that piano bass Rickenbacker sound. Now I have a custom made bass that was made by a guy named Steve Hayes in New Jersey in 1980, and it has 2 truss rods, and it has some of that Rickenbacker kind of thing to it as well. That's how I formed my conclusion that the 2 truss rods is largely responsible. I mean, it's the wood they use in the pickups, obviously, is part of the recipe.
Of course. Yeah, okay, exactly.
But the 2 truss rods plays a big role in that. You know, it definitely does. But because this is made out of, you know, maple or something, I don't know what this wood is.
It looks like maple
Looks
to me.
like maple.
Yeah. It's different from the 4000 series Rickenbackers. Different kind of sound, plus it's a bolt-on neck. So it's got a bit of that Rickenbacker sound, but not, you know, it doesn't sound like the 4000 series.
Here's the bass.
Wow.
Let me see if I can get some. Whatever's cracking is the amp. It's cracking chord. There it is. I said, you just jump the hammers and so I got problems. You got serious problems. You probably try to do these serious problems. All the other strings are really good.
A bit of that Rickenbacker.
Yeah.
Don't do that. You cannot raise it with those adjustments are underneath. You have to have raise it and everything. And I'll be back. Now, you gotta call me first because it's really slammed.
What strings do you have on that? They look like the DR Black Beauties.
Exactly. I always use those on this because of the black hardware.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
And I just figure, well, matches. This is the only bass I use these strings on, actually. On my amp, I turn the treble completely off. The horn, off.
Right.
I've got the bass up 3/4. So that's what I'm looking for, the sound I'm looking for, you know. And normally I'll only buy nickel string, you know, the nickel plated ones or whatever, like 95 to 105 pretty much. Yeah, I like this bass a lot. One of the things about it that I enjoy is the fact that no one's ever seen these before, and they're like, "That's a Rickenbacker." Keep your eyes open for one. You know, they don't come up for sale very often. These aren't worth that much. They're really not. I only got $750 for the blue one when I sold it, but that was probably 7 or 8 years ago, something like that. I mean, a fair price for this. If you look in the Vintage Guitar Price Guide, I think that's in the range. I think they're worth $750 to $1,100 or something like that. They're not expensive. I'll just go find one. Oh, the other weird thing is, and the reason he had to rewire this whole thing is, all the wiring was on a PC board. All the pots were PC board mount. The way switch was PC board mount. The switch went bad. I could not get a replacement switch that was PC board mount. The correct switch was unobtainium. Rickenbacker was useless. They wouldn't even answer my emails. I sent emails to their customer service, nothing. And you know, one email I just asked, can you at least provide a schematic? And they said, well, yeah, it's on the website. Wrong. Schematic for this bass is wrong. Absolutely wrong. This had 3 capacitors in it, plus a resistor. It had a treble bleed circuit. They don't have any schematic on their website. They list 4 knob, you know, basses, and they list 20, 30, and the schematic they had just was wrong.
So what did Rod have to do to it?
Well, I had another guy that I had work done with before I discovered Rod rewire it, adding individual pots and a 3-way thing, but he screwed it all up. It was all screwed up. He had to rewire it because it just didn't sound right and wasn't working right, the pots, and he put the wrong value pots in. It was supposed to be 500K and he put in 250K. Right away I noticed I was getting no output. You know, the bass had no volume out of it. It's pegged on the amp, you know.
So you notice a huge difference now?
Oh yeah. Well, it also sucked the life out of the tone. It was screwed up. I mean, it sounded bad. It didn't sound like it used to at all.
Give me the lowdown.
I love it. It's great.
Besides all that weird popping and cracking, that's not your guitar, by the way.
Yeah, that would drive me crazy.
Yeah, that's my amp. You can hear it. So, the input jack is loose on it, actually. You'd think I'd fix something like that, wouldn't you? So what's the lowdown? Do you like it? Better.
I love it. It's way better.
Okay. And I made it so now when you're in the middle, you can turn either pickup down and it doesn't affect the other pickup.
So which are the volumes and which are the tones?
Okay, so this is volume for your bridge. Okay, right here. Volume, tone, right here.
Okay, so it's volume, tone, volume.
Just like that.
Okay,
And then
got
for
it.
this one, it's going to be the upper. They make this lower because it's usually easier to reach than trying to get in between these. So they always put the neck pickup up in the higher range on these. Now on the Les Paul, if you have this in the center like this, and you turn either one of these volumes down, it turns both pickups off. But I figured out a way to make it not do that. Okay?
Cool.
So
Excellent.
then you got your tones right there. So, you
All
like?
right. Can't wait to plug this in at home.
Probably sounds a little bit better. Probably sounds a little fuller.
It sounded like crap before. I mean, really, no way around it. You know?
Good.
It's just
Excellent.
horrible.
Excellent.
It was,
Excellent.
it was appalling.
And we have the bigger pots in here too.
Okay.
Okay, 250s, 500s.
Right. Yeah, which was something he screwed up. And, yeah,
So
okay.
you're gonna get some more volume out of it. It's gonna be fuller sounding. You know, now it's just a matter of you re-EQing everything to get it to sound, you know, right for you.
Wonderful. This thing's wonderful.
Cool.
All right.
Okay, and you brought me a new toy today.
Yeah, I brought you something really strange.
Okay.
I brought you my travel bass.